Hey Metal Maniacs, this is Gerald Zamponi of Hellrazer, and you're cranking it up on Dave Softees Metal Meltdown on Metal Messiah Radio.
Alrighty, Metal Maniacs, here we go. Please help me welcome to Metal Messiah Radio. Hailing from Calgary, Canada, from Heavy Metal's Hellrazer, joining us, we have Gerald Zamponi on vocals and guitars. Welcome to the Metal Meltdown, Gerald, and thank you for this opportunity.
It's my pleasure. Looking forward to it.
Me too. I just heard of your band because of a good friend Vlad Promotions. He says you need to check out Hellrazer. I go, yeah, the name sounds familiar. I don't know where I heard that name before. And he says, yeah, if you like bands like Judas Priest or the new age of heavy metal, you got to check out the band. They just added them to my roster, and talked to them. I says, let me check out their music first and see what we could do. So I have checked out your music, and I am quite impressed. So I did some research on your band, and I see that actually the band formed around 2004 or something like that. And originally, you were a cover band called One Eyed Snake, which is a very interesting name. So you started off that way, and then around 2006, is that when you changed the name to Hellrazer?
Yeah, probably even earlier than that. One-eyed snake was kind of a goofy idea. We had a really cool logo with a snake with an eye patch on it and whatnot, but it's not quite metal enough. And then we thought Hellraiser kind of more captured what we tried to convey. And it was also at the time where we stopped playing cover songs and started writing our own material.
That's cool. I mean, a lot of bands, I think, when they start out, they do a lot of covers, and some bands out there that have been around for 30 years still do covers, in addition to their own original music. So that's very cool. And but who started Hellraiser? How did that become the name of the band? Who selected it?
Well, so I was looking on the internet to see what wasn't already taken. And so, most band names exist one way or another somewhere, right?
Right.
And that was the only one I couldn't find anything about. And it turns out, actually, there was a band in the early 80s from Britain that disbanded long ago that were called Hellraiser, so I wasn't worried about that. So we stuck with it, came up with a cool logo, and the rest is history.
Yeah, and that name, Hellraiser, I mean, you could actually interchange the letters, and you can make it original, like you put the OR instead of the ER if it was already taken, so there's ways you could get around that.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
lots of room there.
And I'm talking about your latest release, Bonecrusher, 2019 release, and I noticed that you have 4 other full releases before this, and I checked out Bonecrusher. I haven't checked out your other offerings yet, but I have to tell you, I'm quite impressed, and I've already played some of the music, and anything to do with fire, whether it's ancient or not, I love it, and I really caught my attention. I says, I'm definitely going to get you on the show, so I'm glad that you're here, that we could talk about your music.
Yeah, and here I am.
Yes.
Pleasure.
So getting back to Bonecrusher, could you let us know how your music all comes together? Who was responsible for writing the lyrics and the music? Are you the one that is all behind it, or is it a joint venture? And let's mention also the rest of the band. We have yet to do that yet. If you could let us know who is the rest of Hellraiser, we love it. Yes.
Yeah, so the current lineup is myself. I do the vocals and I play mostly rhythm guitar. There's Jim Rogers, who's a lead guitar player, Shigeki Tsutsui, our drummer, and Simon Hirota is on bass. So that's the lineup of the current album. And we we collaborate mostly on the songs. Either somebody comes up with a riff, brings it to the jam room, and we kind of develop something, go away, work on it some more, until it turns into some sort of a structure for a song. And we always kind of try to pay attention to the arrangements to make sure that certain elements recur in a song. So it's not just a riff that you play once, but so it's kind of more of a thought-out process to come up with a structure. And the lyrics, usually I write them because at the end of the day, I have to sing them and I sort of have to be able to relate to them. But music is a collaborative effort. And, for one song, somebody may contribute more than somebody else, but at the end, everybody has an input into it.
Excellent. And I'd like to know where this music was recorded, who produced it, what studio was it mixed, mastered, and recorded in? Did you have your own studio, or how did it go about?
No, so we have, we do our demos ourselves. We have a Zoom recorder and use Adobe Audition and things like that to come up with some demos, just to make sure that the structure is all in place and everybody knows what they're doing. But for the recording, for the last 2 albums, we went to a place in Calgary called Alchemy Studios. It's run by this guy, Jeff Muller, who is really, really talented. And he sort of acted like a producer or a co-producer, contributing some ideas about, how to do the vocals and so forth. So all of the raw recordings were done there. And then our guitarist Jim's brother has a production company somewhere in Ontario, and we basically transferred all the files over to him. And he reamped all the guitars multiple times. He processed the drums, did all the mixing and all the mastering. And that really is what made the sound what it is on this album. I think it really sounds kind of modern, Andy Sneap style type of production. So pretty happy with it.
Interesting. Was it like a Pro Tools application, or he has his own studio that he did this in?
Yeah, he has Pro Tools as well as many other programs, and I don't actually know what he used in the end to come up with it, but it was recorded on Pro Tools, so all the files had to be opened in Pro Tools as well, and what he did afterwards, I have no idea. I don't, didn't pay attention. I was just paying attention to what he sent us in terms of the samples, and took some feedback, and in the end, he used his magic to make it sound the way it does.
So obviously you're very happy with the end result. It came out very well.
Yeah, very happy. I mean, we were going for a Judas Priest Firepower style sound. I'm really impressed with what they did on the last album, and I kind of wanted it to sound a little bit like that. And I think we're getting somewhere into that territory with its own unique kind of twist to it.
Absolutely. And was this self-released, or were you releasing it through a distributor, or how did that go about?
Yeah, so on our last album, we had a record company from Germany that was doing the release, but those guys went belly up at some point, and so we then thought, well, let's try to do it ourselves. So we went to CD Baby and purchased one of their packages, and they distribute it through iTunes and Spotify, and you can buy physical copies from them as well, which we produced. So we did it ourselves this time. We'll see how that goes.
How's it working out for you so far?
Well, could sell more copies. That would be nice, but it is what it is. As long as it gets out there, we're good with it.
Well, we're here in the underground, and as we were saying before the interview, with one hand you really can't do much of anything, but when you have multiple hands, you could accomplish a lot more, and that's one of the reasons why we're here doing this interview, to spread the word and to inform the fans how they can get the products and merch and all that. So that's why we're here.
Yeah, thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Oh, of course. And let's talk about the artistry of Hellrazer. Could you tell us about the cover art, who designed your cover art, and tell us more about this? And also, you mentioned your logo earlier. Who designed your band's logo?
Yeah, so there is a guy in Greece. He's a freelance designer who we came across by accident maybe 10 years ago, and he's designed our last 3 album covers for us. So for Prisoner of the Mind, which came out in 2010, he actually made that album cover that's now Bonecrusher. And he wanted to hear our songs, and at the time he didn't like the match between the cover and the music. So he designed the new cover and said, I prefer it if you use that one. And we said, fine, right? So then he did the next one as well, which we were really happy with. And then I thought, well, for the new album, there was a song on there called Necropolis, which we were going to name the album after, and we were looking for sort of something with bones and a little bit of death in it. And I remembered the old cover, and he still had it, and he was happy to let us have it for the current album, and it became Bonecrusher, but it still fits the theme anyway.
Good, that's excellent. I'm glad that it worked out for you.
Yeah, really well. I'm really happy, and he did the album logo, the band logo as well. So we've had the same or similar logo on the last 3 albums because of that.
Excellent. I'm glad that it all worked out.
Yeah.
And it's also great to know that Hellrazer is a live performing band. Could you share with us what past shows you have been involved in, some of the highlights of that, and if you have any shows coming up that we could spread the word on?
Yeah, so we play mostly, in our province of Alberta, which, geographically is bigger than Germany. But really, we focus our efforts really locally. We're not in a position to go out on tours because we all have day jobs, and, it kind of precludes us taking a lot of time off for this sort of thing. So we're focused locally. I think our next show is going to be in Edmonton sometime in May. So we don't play all that much, not to saturate the local scene too much, or people will stop coming, right? So that's what we've been doing. So you're not going to see us in the U.S. or in Europe, very likely.
Oh no, huh? Yeah, that I've heard that from other bands I've interviewed. One was Infrared actually, and they actually played with a band called Razor, which is supposed to be a pretty well-known band. I think they're also straight away traditional metal, but Hellrazer, Razor, it works, right?
Yeah, I guess why not, right?
Right, and he explained to me also, most likely it's very difficult to come to the States, and you're just on the other side of the wall. Not really a wall, but the border, you want to say. But yeah, things they don't make things easy anymore. They really don't. Not that they ever have.
Yeah, nowadays with U.S. immigration, for me, it's never a problem to travel to the States, but you never know, right?
Right.
All they need is to stop one band member from coming in, and there goes your tour. So, if you're a big act, I don't think it's a problem. But if you're a small band showing up in a van, having to declare all your gear and all this kind of stuff, it requires a little bit of effort. And you have to have the time to do it.
True. Very true. And do you have any shows coming up that you want to mention?
Yeah, as I say, Edmonton, May 2nd. I forget what the venue is, but I will let you know.
Okay. Now, let's talk about videos. I checked out Hellrazer Metal on YouTube looking for videos, and I did see a couple of really cool videos. One's the official music video for Ancient Fire, and one's the official lyric video with Ralph Scheepers, Metal Heavy. Good stuff.
Right.
So would you like to spend some time talking about the production, the editing, direction, who is responsible for these videos?
Yeah, so for the Ancient Fire video, we went actually back to the studio where we recorded the album, and Jeff, who's the studio owner, has all this video equipment. So we wanted to go for a really sort of frenetic type of black and white look, lots of strobes, something that captures the energy of the band. Ancient Fire is maybe about 4 minutes long, so it's not one of our longer songs. So we thought that was a really good one to use for that. It's got a lot of energy, and so we basically filmed it over maybe 3-4 hours, and then Jeff did all of the editing and probably spent a lot of time doing that. And I think at the end product, it's actually it's great. And for anybody watching the video, that's kind of what a Hellrazer live show would look like.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah. Now, the other video, it was a guy from, I think, from the Ukraine or somewhere in Eastern Europe, approached us and says, I have a video production company. I do lyric videos, 200 euros or something like that. And we thought Metal Heavy was a good one for that because obviously Ralph Scheepers is not in our band, and we're not going to get him to shoot a video with us, right?
Right.
So making a lyric video out of it that doesn't actually have to show the band playing or singing is a good way to get that particular song distributed a bit more widely without actually having to, recruit a person who's never going to show up for that, right? They have better things to do. So I think it's a great way of getting that song out, which is kind of a catchy tune, kind of a typical single material, more in the sort of gamma ray style of music. I'm pretty happy with that one as well.
And how did you get involved with Ralph Scheepers? That was pretty exciting to get him on this song.
Well, you hire him, right? So he has, if you go to his website, he will sing on any album, but, it's not free, right? But he will decide whether or not the material is strong enough for him to lend his voice to. So he's not going to compromise his own quality and his own standing. If he likes your song, you pay, and at that point you own all the rights. And he's a consummate professional, right? He will give you a great product, put his own stamp on it, and very interactive, very easy to work with. And I think he really took the tune to a new level that makes it sound about as good as it can be. So we're pretty happy with that.
That's great to hear. And would you ever do something like this again? I think you would. Yeah.
Yeah, I would. I mean, maybe. The ultimate prize would be getting somebody like Rob Halford to sing in your album, but that's not going to happen. So Ralph Scheepers is an outstanding singer, and if we had another song that was sort of would lend itself to his vocals, I would definitely do that again. I think it generates more interest as well.
Exactly. It's a great situation. Now you probably could get Rob Halford to do this for you, but you probably have to spend a lot more money.
Yeah, so and plus I'm sure he's busy doing his own thing. So but to me, that's my favorite band is Judas Priest. So just even having that opportunity would be just amazing, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I hear you. I know. And as we mentioned earlier, one of the things about these interviews, especially when we're supporting the underground, is how to inform the fans that support all these great underground bands from around the world, how they can show their support and love for the bands by letting them know where they can find the CD and whatever other merch they may have available. We're talking about Hellrazer now, and I want to give you hellrazermetal.bandcamp.com link. Would you say that would be the best place for a fan that's already been a fan of Hellraiser, or maybe someone that's listening to this interview right now, listening to your music and say, hey, I really like this, I want to get this music, how do I get it? Is that where they would get it, or where would you say would be the best place for a fan to get Hellraiser music and merch?
Yeah, so Apple Music or iTunes, all of the last three albums are on there. Bandcamp works as well. CD Baby works. If you just want to listen, we're on Spotify. So really, that's kind of the easiest way to get a material. If you want a physical copy of our CD, that would be through CD Baby as well. They basically have a certain number that they stock. When they run out, we ship them more. So if people want to actually hold a copy in their hand with a lyric booklet, that's the way to do it. If you just want to have it on your phone, just go to iTunes, as long as it's still around, and you'll be able to buy it relatively inexpensively, as well as our previous albums as well.
Excellent. Besides the CDs, what other merch do you currently have available for your fans?
We got nothing really in terms of merch. We've never really invested into T-shirts or anything like that, simply because we weren't sure that anybody was going to buy them. So really, it's just the music.
I see. Even at your live shows, you don't have shirts available?
Nah, just the CDs. That's it.
Wow. Do you think you're ever going to change that, or are you going to keep your chemistry the way you have it?
Well, it's working for us the way it is in terms of we're happy with where we are with our music. If for some reason there were a big demand, we could quickly design a T-shirt and sell it. The question is, I just don't want to end up with boxes and boxes of shirt that nobody wants. And since we're not touring, right, so, the local scene is only so big. So I don't know how many shirts you would sell in Calgary. Probably not all that many. If we became very popular on the internet and internationally, that'd be a different story. Then you could think of a way to make small batches and have them shipped out.
I understand, and I appreciate your honesty and how you feel about that. And I wish you the best in whatever you decide to do in the future. And you know better than anyone else. This is your band, so absolutely.
Yeah, for us, it's not about making money necessarily. We do this because we love music and we just want to write it, record it, and get it out there and have people enjoy it if they do. And that's kind of the most gratifying thing we're looking for. It's not our day job, right? So whatever happens is good.
Which leads me to this next question. Now, over the weekend, we were chatting, and you were actually in New Zealand. And so, prior to the interview, I had asked you how that went. Now, you were in New Zealand for business?
Yep.
And so what do you do when you're not doing Hellraiser?
Well, so everyone in the band's a medical researcher. So I work on pain. Another person works on Alzheimer's disease. Another guy works on MS. The bass player works on GI problems, right? So we're all kind of at the University of Calgary doing various things in the kind of research space. And so the New Zealand trip was for a conference where I gave a talk on the work that we do. So that's really what's the bread and butter for everybody in the band, right? And which also makes it difficult for us to find enough time for everybody to get together and spend 2 weeks on a tour, because just their schedules are so crazy that, a lot of the things we do just locally.
I see. Wow. And you were saying that you, on your way back, you were like, almost hijacked for 6 hours. There was a problem on the plane. That's pretty discouraging.
Yeah, it wasn't a violent problem. So somebody got really sick and they had to put the plane down somewhere on a small island in the Pacific. So that added a bunch of hours to the flight, which is fine. Obviously the person who's sick is going to be much worse off. They're stuck now in New Caledonia in a hospital and probably didn't even know that place existed before they went. So hopefully they'll be okay. But, 6 hours added to 13 hours becomes pretty unpleasant on a flight.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm glad that you survived that.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, that we could be actually talking about it now,
Exactly.
Would you like to talk about your guitars, or talk about your gear, anything involving that?
Yeah, so I use mostly an LTD Dave Mustaine signature model for most of what I play. I also have a Jackson sort of Randy Rhoads style V guitar. And then on my couch where I do some of the songwriting in the evening, that would be a BC Rich Warlock, which is kind of a nice guitar to lay around with and just doodle. But for live shows, it's mostly an LTD. Jim uses Dean guitars. He has the Razorback, which he really likes. Yeah, so different guitars, mostly sort of guitars that are known to make a good metal sound. We use Mesa amps to go with it. They have a nice crunchy sound. And so, yeah, that's kind of what we've been playing for the last few years.
Excellent. And is there anything that you would like to say to your fans that are tuning in, your fans that have been following you for a long time, and even your up-and-coming fans? Is there anything that you'd like to say to them?
Yeah, I mean, if you like classic metal with a sort of more modern sound, if you like Judas Priest or Primal Fear or Gamma Ray or some of those European bands, check us out. I don't think we'll disappoint you. And for those of you that have already heard us, we'll keep at it. We'll make more music, and stay tuned for the next album in a few years. We will take our time, but we'll do another one.
Excellent to know about that. And when that time does come and you have new music, I want to invite you back here on Metal Meltdown on Metal Messiah Radio to talk about that new music, however long it takes, whenever it happens. You know you have a home here to talk about it.
That's awesome. Appreciate it.
Of course. And I want to thank you, Gerald, for spending time with us tonight on Metal Meltdown on Metal Messiah Radio. I do believe we've learned more about you yourself and Hellrazer, but I want to make sure that we left no stone unturned. If there's anything else that you'd like to discuss that we have yet to mention, please feel free to do so.
Yeah, I think we covered most of it. I think people will get a bit of a snapshot of what we're all about. Check out our videos, and let us know what you think. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, so by all means, reach out. We'll answer any email or any message that we get.
Excellent. Great to know that. And I want to wish you and all in Hellrazer a great what's left of this year. And the holidays are upon us and be here before you know it. So I want to wish you a great 2020. And for all the years to come, know that you'll have our support. And like we said, in the underground, we are all united together. We're not doing anything alone. So if there's anything that we could do, as far as if you have more videos or more touring or anything, keep in touch and we'll spread the word.
That sounds fantastic. Really appreciate it.
Excellent. And how about we go and crank up some more Hellrazer now and crank it up loud?
That sounds awesome.
Great. Thank you so much for the interview, Gerald. It's been a blast. Crank it up, Metal Maniacs. Crank it up.